Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night. I don't know where you are in the world, but greetings. This is Way Turner Podcast, and I'm excited to bring another episode of our podcast to you just to share with you a little bit about our podcast. Um, Motivated to Purpose is the name, and it's intended to be a transformative podcast to help people through counseling, through coaching, through motivating, so that you can live out the fullness of your life. And so I am your host. I'm Dr. Wynette Turner, and I am so excited about our guest today. And I want to tell you a little bit about her and then and give her proper introduction. So Miss Cathi Cohen has over 20 years of senior management experience in the areas of finance, operations, regulatory compliance, training initiatives, and new school development. She is also Lean Six Sigma certified. In addition to that, Cathi has served as the executive director of BCFS Education Services, overseeing the Head Start programs for across 20 different sites. She has also been the comptroller at Southwest School of Art, where she solidified her expertise in education, focusing on the operations and financial management in those areas. Additionally, Cathi has served as the Director of Business Operations and Procurement at SAISD, or San Antonio Independent School District. Where she gained so much experience in the public education sector. Cathi is also a published author of Is Today the Day? And I was so privileged to get an opportunity to even read before that book actually came out. And so it's a journey for both personal and professional in order to achieve their greatness. And so she shares insights in this book based on her career. I can say this because I read the book. So she shared insights based upon her own career, her leadership skills, and helping others to elevate their leadership skills, and also transforming their careers and even taking future steps to whatever career path they are interested in. I am so excited to introduce you all to some. I'll say introduce some, so because hopefully some will see this podcast and already know Cathi. But for those who do not know her, Cathi Cohen, welcome to the podcast.
I am so excited and so feel so blessed that you included me and invited me to be a part of your podcast. I just think it's the most fabulous thing we've been putting out there to empower each other and to uplift one another, and just know that there's a bigger village out there than people think they have.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so I am doubly excited that you said a yes to.
Oh, of course. I would never. Does anybody say no to you?
Not yet, but and I'm hoping nobody will say no. So, but I appreciate you so much for being a part of the podcast. And so I just want to kind of just delve right in. And I'm
Sure.
excited just to hear about, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm excited to hear about what you're doing even today. But
Oh, I can't wait.
yes, 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 yes. So just to get us started, so of course, you've had an impressive career, and as you know, those who have just heard
Mhm.
a portion of your bio, that you've had a very impressive career in senior management roles. What are some of the pivotal moments that shaped your leadership journey?
Yeah, so great question. Because I think that's the foundation where you springboard from early on and then throughout your career. And I could say that throughout my career, there have been several pivotal moments that truly shaped my leadership journey. Um, None of them more impactful than the people I've worked with, though. Mentors who guided me, teams who inspired me, challenges that pushed me to grow some more. I will say that one of the biggest lessons I learned early on was the power of mentorship. I've been fortunate to have incredible mentors who not only shared their knowledge, but also modeled it and then challenged me to think bigger, outside the box, and to lead with confidence, which is something you don't learn in a book in college,
Yeah.
right? It's something you learn from others or on the job or out in the world. That taught me that leadership isn't just about having all the answers, because you don't have all the answers, and that really wouldn't be good leadership if you thought that you did. But it's about asking the right questions, staying adaptable, never losing sight of the people that you serve, and how can you best empower them and serve them. I can say too, another defining moment is like the teamwork first approach. I've always believed that success is not built alone on the best leaders. It's built on those they empower around them as a team. You have to foster an environment with collaborative intention and innovation, and teach people how to thrive. That, believe it or not, is a learned process. That isn't something people just have within them. I will say some of my proudest achievements, though, are not for my individual wins at all. They are for my team wins. Building strong teams and empowering them and seeing them win is my win. So I think that when you're in a leadership role, it's really, really important to remember that. You need to surround yourself with the finest and best. And you also need to balance those strengths and weaknesses amongst your team. I think that's really, really important. I do think, though, that it's really important for people to remember it's okay that you're going to have challenges along the way. You're going to make mistakes. Some things aren't going to go as planned. Some things are going to be harder than you thought they were going to be. And just when you see me have obstacles that are just impossible to overcome, you will, if you stay the course. You just have to sometimes take a step back and reflect and then move forward again. And I just think that the greatest leaders don't just navigate change. They embrace it as an opportunity to evolve themselves. But for me, I think at the heart of it all, leadership is really about people. It's about lifting other people up, learning from every experience, learning from my team, and never losing the passion you get when you started in the first place. So you can't forget why you do what you do, because you're going to have challenges, like I said, and obstacles sometimes that will derail the goal you're trying to get to. You just have to figure out how to get back on the track, and
Yes.
how do you get there, and then you just keep driving forward from there each day.
Yes, that is so good. That
Yeah.
is so good. I heard and if I missed something, please let me know, because I heard in that as you were speaking, just the importance of mentorship and having mentors and finding good mentors in your life, so that because I that was like your first point, so that just tells me how impactful that is to make sure that you're having good mentors. And then I heard beyond that, the team empowerment and empowering your team to make sure that your team is successful. And as you stated, the team success is your success, and
Right.
really being able to celebrate that, and also, you know, being able to, you didn't say this, but I heard it in as you share, being able to coach and mentor your team so that they can excel and then they can advance in whatever capacity they need to advance in. And I heard also just the significance of the challenges and change, and embracing those, recognizing they're there and being able to embrace them so that
Mhm.
you can overcome them and move forward. And then I heard lastly, just recognizing the reason you're there, right? Because I think, really understanding what you're passionate about, that's going to drive you. That's going to be the drive, right? That's going
That's
to be the
absolutely
drive
correct.
as you're moving forward and facing whatever challenges that may be presented. Okay. So tell me this, as a former executive director, um, what are some of the biggest challenges you face managing large scale educational programs, and how did you overcome
Yeah, so I had the privilege of leading Head Start program from San Antonio to the Valley, and it's an incredibly rewarding position, but it also has several challenges that require a lot of strategic problem solving and collaboration and strong teams. I would say one of the biggest issues I found at the time was staffing and finding adequate staffing to be able to retain qualified teachers and educators, but more the support staff that were not only trained, they had to all not only be trained in early childhood education and intervention, but also committed to the mission of Head Start, which can be very different than a traditional nursery school or elementary school. Um, Competitive salaries in other sectors made it really difficult to pull that support staff in. And teachers need a break sometimes. They need the support staff in there to help them. They cannot do it alone. So it was really important to have support staff there. So I had to focus a lot on professional development, workplace culture, advocacy for. I had people want to come work there because of those things. So it was more outside the box thinking of how am I going to attract and retain talent that it's going to be very happy working here, especially knowing I may not be able to pay as high as like the competitive nursery school that is a private pay down the street.
Right.
I would say another major challenge was ensuring the facilities were always meeting compliance guidelines. The Head Start programs have to adhere to federal, state, and local and DCF regulations. So it's evolving all the time and changing, and they're doing inspections all the time. And sometimes you don't know that something changed just yet because you haven't received the notice yet. And here they are checking to see if you've done it. So that was always an ongoing issue to go on there. So always trying to like be careful with your budgeting just in case, because you might have to coordinate with these regulatory agencies in order to make some of those changes you weren't aware of. So that was always a little difficult. And then I would think the tight implementation timelines for construction always pose a challenge. So whether we were launching a new site, expanding services, adopting some new policy changes, everything needed to happen like within 45 days or within 90 days or within a very, very quick turnaround time. But at the same time, ensuring the staff and the curriculum and the compliance measures were all in place without disrupting any of that while you're trying to install all the new things that had to be done. So it was a lot of proactive planning, a lot of really strong teamwork, a lot of collaboration that went on there for that. But I think that in any sector in education, Head Start or where we were at, funding always remains the constant concern. So with that Head Start program, they're federally funded, but it's just not enough money. And, you're normally working with the most impoverished families that are in these Head Start programs. So you need grants and donations to send food home with ththese kids on the weekends so you know what they're eating when they're not in school. Do a shoe drive so they have shoes to wear to school, a coat drive for when it gets cold. Just so many things that, some people just take for granted that they have is a luxury for these families and these communities. So I think the demand for services often exceeds the available funding that's in place there. So always looking to stretch those dollars was always a great challenge, especially still trying to balance salaries to have, great staff there. But I think despite all of those things, the Head Start programs are undeniable. They really do provide children, communities, and families and communities with a service that that ensures success for these children that otherwise might get lost in the system. And so I think it's really important to, just overcome these obstacles the best that you can and just keep pressing forward and just keep, working with whatever comes your way each day.
Yeah. I hear your passion in that area and being able to really consider, not beyond the educational, walls, right? And what's happening really out in the community and
Mm-hmm.
with these families. And I remember you shared with me a little bit about of growing up and your family and just the um just the care in which and you particularly your father, you told me about that. Can you share with our audience a little bit about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
piece?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I was very fortunate. I had a very good childhood. My parents did very well for themselves, but they never stopped for 1 second to always remind you, like the CEO, the janitor, and everybody are equally important and must be equally respected. because that's what makes the wheel go round. Nothing happens without every integral person being a part of that wheel as it spins. And even my dad owned his own companies and things like that. He would just give things away to the men that worked there, like without even thinking twice about it. Tires off his car if there's a wall, extra money just to pay the electric bill because they did a great job. Like if he thought you were struggling, even if you didn't say so, he was there to help in any way he could, providing meals, providing anything. When we were growing up, my parents coached all of our athletic teams. And there were many students on our team that couldn't afford cleats and couldn't afford the equipment or couldn't afford to go to the tournaments. My parents would cover those costs because they just felt it was more important for them to have the experience. And I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, nobody knew that's where the funding came from. So they would just put it in the pot, and it would just people would just get paid for through donations. I just think that I was raised with parents who had a servant's heart, and then it was just passed to my brother and sister and I. And that's just who we are. My sister has been a lifelong educator. She's a superintendent of schools here, right outside of Dallas here. My brother has been in higher education for his entire career as well as campus president. They've actually been on that side. I've been on the business side of education and building programs for this many years. And I think when you're in that mindset, that's just who you always be. That's who you are. And then my parents owned a nursery school when I was young. So I think that whole thing just, I think all of that just such great lessons. And I think they were just wonderful people. And I think that's really just allowed me to be wonderful in those areas.
That is so awesome. And just the passion that your parents had in
Mm-hmm.
serving, and how it was just transferred to you and your siblings, and
Mm-hmm.
in diverse ways, right? And I think
Yeah,
oftentimes we don't even recognize the nuggets that we pick up along the way. We may
right.
see the big picture, but the little nuggets that we pick up along the way and say, wow, you know what, I'm working with this segment because, I saw the passion and the love of my parents and what they were doing and how they worked with that population
Mm-hmm.
or this group of people, and really being able to serve, and not looking for any sort of acknowledgement for it either, just being there to serve. And so I think that is so awesome, such an awesome, and that's so wonderful. That
Aw,
is
thank
just
you.
that is
I think
wonderful.
also, yeah, and I think also to add that, when you're coming up in your career, at least for me, you don't even realize it. It's that kind of just happening. And then one day you get to a certain level and you just stop and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, look where I am. And how did I get here?
Yeah.
And that's how you just do it. It's just organic and you're just doing it. You don't even realize you're doing it until someone tells you you're doing it. Right. And that doesn't mean you can even hear it, because sometimes at certain parts in your life, you can't hear people.
Right.
And that, especially when you're young and you're learning and you're trying to find your way personally, professionally, most of us don't hear people. And then when you finally stop and you allow yourself to listen, it's amazing how transforming that can be.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So that is so good. So I want to um kind of travel over to your book. And so
Yes, please. My
in
labor
your
of
book,
love.
yes, in your book, and I know it's on Amazon, it's available on Amazon. And so, is today the day? What a wonderful, wonderful title, is today the day? And so, I encourage you, readers, I'm already encouraging the readers, yes, go and get the book. But in the book, you explore both the personal and the professional transformation. Can you share some key lessons from your journey that the listeners could apply to their own career development? Give them a little nuggets, some
Yeah,
nuggets.
I think I could give you a few of those. This is almost only my favorite thing to talk about, so that's okay. This might be a little lengthy, but because it's my favorite thing to talk about. But honestly, something I've learned firsthand is that success does not happen by chance; it happens by choice. And the common theme throughout my entire book is choice. What do you choose for yourself? Do you choose today to be the day to make those changes in your life, or do you not? Whether personally or professionally, growth requires intentional action, strategic thinking, a support system, And I don't mean just family or just friends or just coworkers. It could be it could look like so many different things, but yes, all of those things too. Right. Um, when I think the first thing is you have to think smart, right? You have to approach your challenges with a mindset with solutions, not limitations or complaints. So when you come in with like, okay, I know this is what's happening. How can I problem solve this? And how can I brainstorm this in order to do that? Because every career path is going to have an obstacle. I don't care what you choose or how educated you are, how much training you have. Everything's going to have an obstacle, but it's how you respond to that that determines your trajectory forward. And that's huge. And that works in your personal life too. How do you react to situations, or how do you not react? Could really change the way that happens. So I think that having a plan is crucial, right? So I think that's always you can have great big goals, and that's wonderful to aspire to. But if you don't have a plan that's clear and actionable, you're not going to reach them. So in my book, I do outline like a set of like realistic milestones that can adjust your course when needed without losing sight of your ultimate vision or your ultimate goals, and little ones, like little steps. Because if you take too big of a step, you're skipping over a lot of key things that have to be there to support you when you get to the end of your journey to get there, which is never ending, by the way. So I'll just let you all know that your journey is never ending. But I think also what's really, really important, and I think people forget this, some people in the workplace are looking to other people to build them, right? You yourself have to seek professional and personal growth and development because they go hand in hand. You're only going to grow as much, your career will only grow as much as you grow personally. So continuous learning, self-improvement, non-negotiable. I mean, these are things that you have to prioritize. Whether you're going to refine your skills, expand your network, go to networking events, step outside your comfort zone, just invest in yourself because that will always pay off. You may not see the return today, but you will see it. And you will have an aha moment numerous times over the years. I can promise you that. But, something I said earlier too, no one succeeds alone. And people that think that's the only way to journey are going to fail. You have to be able to accept help when you need it. Guidance is someone who has walked the path before you, can provide invaluable insights, encouragement, perspective. If you align yourself with a great mentor, you're golden. It's a game changer. If you align yourself with a toxic mentor, it's a game changer. Okay. And you have to be able to recognize the difference. And I go into that extensively in my book. In one of the chapters there, how do you know the difference between a toxic leader and a great leader? And which one do you want to be? And I don't think any of us want to be a toxic leader. But some people have only worked in the same place for so long and they don't know any other way until they see it another way. And that can be a toxic leadership, toxic cultural work environment that you don't want to encourage or be a part of. So I just encourage you to always look for the most positive path forward in a mentor, and someone that actually models what they say. Because I think that's really important. But I think at the core of the whole thing, transformation starts with you. You have to just choose, like, stop waiting for the right time to do something. There's never the right time. Start taking purposeful action today. I mean, that's it. That's the challenge. That's the challenge I pose in my book. And I challenge everyone that watches this. Today could be your day. Yeah. You just have to choose it. Right. So that's really how I shape my journey.
I love it. I love it so much. I know, yes, today could be your day, right? So if you choose, audience, if you choose, today could be your day. I encourage you to go and get the book. And I just want to recap some things just to kind of reiterate some things that you said. And so the first thing you said was success happens by choice. And so for those who are listening, we may fall into some things that are good, but success that you're really looking for, it's going to happen because you choose to take those steps. And as you were talking, I heard, Cathi, as you shared about, you shared about solutions, and not focusing on solutions and not limitations and not complaints, focusing on those things. planning, having a clear, actionable plan, investing in yourself, and really taking those steps to invest in yourself and recognizing that you need help along the way. So you do need that networking piece
Mm-hmm.
along the way. And in all of those things, I heard really for people to really just value themselves, value their time, right? So you're just not spinning your wheels doing things, that you're really valuing you and really taking the necessary steps to make sure that you are successful. And so you didn't, I mean, what you said was just all couched in
Own it
value.
and
Value
own it.
yourself.
Own it.
Yes,
Own yourself. Own your
yes,
choices. Own
yes,
it. And you may make the wrong choice 20 times and make one good one. That's okay.
yes,
Because
yes,
that is a lesson learned. It's not a failure. It's a lesson learned. At least you're trying.
yes,
But
absolutely.
if,
I
if you
love that.
continuously, but if you continuously try and you're not having success, find a different mentor.
Yeah.
Find a different support. Find some other support or
Supports,
networking to get you
yes.
there. Look to the people who are successful and align yourself with them. Reach
I,
out.
yeah, I like that because, I think that really connects really with the ownership, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
really need to own, hey, this is my process and it's for me. And is this really going to be beneficial for me, right? Or this leader, or, being able to really open ourselves up to some different options and different voices to hear maybe some things that I've not heard before, experience some
Mm-hmm.
things I've not experienced before in order to, just to widen our perspective and not have such a narrow view as it pertains to our future.
Yeah, and you know what I think is really important too is that people remember that two things. One, people deliver and receive information very differently. So, as a strong leader, or even in yourself to become one, you have to recognize that in people. And the way you deal with one person may not be the same way you deal with another to get the results that you're looking for. So, I think that's a really important thing to always remember when you're trying to evolve and you're trying to figure out your place and how you do things. And sometimes people are just having a bad day,
Yes.
and it's okay. Don't take everything personal in the workplace. I mean, sometimes someone had a really bad morning with their kids or something at home or this or that, and you just happen to get the brunt of it when they saw you. That event does not define that person or you. So just have grace.
Yes, right. And I really think that goes back to what you said earlier, right? So embracing being able to face some challenges, embracing
Mm-hmm.
the change and recognizing, hey, that this is a moment in time and it doesn't have to be a defining moment. It's just a moment
Right.
in time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being able to audience. So being able to take this information that Kathy's sharing with us on today, and I cannot stress enough to go and purchase the book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very easy read. It's a very personal read. Very, it's not out of this world that you can't understand. It's very practical in the information that it provides to you. So I really encourage you to purchase her book. And but I have a couple more questions. I have a couple of more questions. So
Yes.
tell me, you're balancing a demanding career with your personal life, and this can be
Mm-hmm.
very challenging. How do you stay focused on your goals while also making time for your own self-care and your personal development?
Well, I can tell you, I didn't always do that. And I was just burnt out. I missed a lot of things I probably shouldn't have when my kids were young, trying to build my career, build my career, build my career. But here's what I'll tell you. It's something that I'm very intentional about now. Because without that balance, it's really easy to lose sight, both personally and professionally, to have any fulfillment in either one. You're kind of just coasting, and you're just never full, right? So the reality is, when you're deeply passionate about your work, it can consume all your time, and you forget about what you have to do on the other side of the house, right? Um, And if you let it, your energy just gets sucked out of you. By the time you get home at the end of the day, what have you got, right? So, I've learned that self-care isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's a non-negotiable. It's what allows me to stay motivated and empowered and energized. I get to show up maybe my best self at work, at home, because I allow myself that. Not luxury. It's a necessity. And I think a lot of women feel guilty taking that time for themselves, away from work, away from their families, whatnot. But don't, because you're going to be better for everybody you work with and everybody at home, right? Staying focused on my goals. I had it, my mother always used to have this saying about your cup runneth over or it's not full. I was pouring from an empty cup for a long time. Right. So whether it was carving out time for my family, exercising, reading, or just unplugging, I make it a priority now. I create space for myself. I do things to recharge. And, these self-care moments, they don't take away from my productivity. They actually enhance it. I feel recharged, rebirthed, re-energized, ready to go. And my thought process is clearer. When I go to the gym and I work out for 45 minutes or I do something like that, it's amazing. But when I unplug and just go do that, and then I come back and sit back down, I'm like, oh, I should have thought about that yesterday. Here's what I'm going to do about that, which is something I do often. I'll say, you know what, let me think on that for the day or tonight. I'm not ready to respond to that just yet. And you know what, it's okay to do that. Immediate gratification is somebody else's problem. It does not have to be yours. So just remember that when you're trying to make a big decision in anything. It's okay, personally or professionally, to say, I'd like to think about that and get back to you. That's it. And if someone can't respect those boundaries, then they're not the person you need to be dealing with, because, you have to respect theirs as well. But I will say that, self-care, is something that I just think, it's crucial. You have to invest in your own personal growth. And you have to be able to do, take well-being and happiness as an essential part of your every single day. I'm not saying that every single day is going to be rainbows and sunshine. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to approach it the best that you can and turn those days around. And when you need to step away, do it. Don't burn yourself out. Don't wind up in a situation where you say something you probably shouldn't. Step away and take care of yourself, right? So ultimately, balance isn't about perfection. Just remember that. You don't have to be perfect. It's about being intentional. You have to be intentional about what you do each day. Make self-care non-negotiable for yourself.
That
That's
is
all. I
very
mean, really, that's what I can tell you. Just that way you can approach everything with purpose and passion and energy, and you can be your best self that you can be each day.
I think that is very powerful. And I think, being able to, you said something, if you can't respond now or needing time, right? Because sometimes we'll walk away from our self-care to feel like we got to respond to something or I got to answer something. And then it turns into 2 or 3 hours of something, right? And you've not
Correct.
done your own care at that time. So I heard that when you were talking about your mom I
The
thought
full,
about what I thought about was, if you don't have an overflow, right? You don't have an overflow, you really don't have enough to give other people,
you're
right?
on an empty.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, no, I can't give out of what I don't have. I need to give out of my overflow because then I'm going to be able to do it more generously. I'm going to be able to do it more abundantly. And like you said, being able to, you can show up as your best self when you pour it into you the way you need it to pour into you.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can go and give, and it's okay to give all of these great things to other people because I'm not depleted in
That's right.
my giving process. And then, which really lined itself with the boundaries, right? And being able to set some healthy boundaries for yourself, for your time, for your self-care, right? And prioritizing that it's like you said, it's not negotiable. It's a
Mm-hmm.
non-negotiable item. Self-care is mandatory. And I think as women, I'm saying past tense because I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we are not doing that anymore. We've had a
We
tendency,
have, but
had
yeah.
have had a tendency to put ourselves on the back burners, and we've been last. We take care of everybody else, and then we've been
Mhm.
back here last. And so, but recognizing, hey, I need to make myself a priority, and then I can show up for everybody else and show up in my best way and give them the best of who I am. So,
Yeah.
that is really good, and I think that does add the balance, right? When you
Mhm.
can make sure that you are prioritizing your own care.
Yeah, and I think too, also on a personal note, and this will apply to some, not many, not all, but a lot of us have young daughters or young
Yes.
ladies that are daughters, and you have to model that for them. Otherwise,
Yes.
they will not know that it's a necessity or that they need to be doing that. And they will only know one way to do that. And we all know that's not the way to do it.
Absolutely.
So whether it's somebody you're mentoring at the office, or just remember, you're always somebody's mentor. Even if you're choosing a mentor, someone's watching you every day,
Right.
and you're somebody's mentor too, whether it's at home or at work. And if they see you taking time for self-care, and they will too.
Yes, you know what, that's very true, and as you said, even looking at our daughters, that they're looking at us and how we're managing our own care and setting healthy boundaries, they're going to model that same behavior to the next
Mhm.
generation. So to make sure that we are doing that, and also just to reemphasize, yes, we're all mentoring somebody, whether you know it or not. And
Mhm.
so being really true to you and true to what you need so that you can provide that good model for other people. So that is so good. So I don't know, audience, if you saw me doing this, I was so excited because I'm excited about this question about I'm excited to share with the audience as well. You're
Mhm.
currently embarking upon this innovative venture in affordable housing through 3D printing. Can you talk to the audience about that?
Yes, I can't wait. And so before I like dive right into it, I just want I have worked with cities and counties and legislators and nonprofits and all over the country. So I always find myself in that space, whether it's workforce development or training or how to, improve community involvement in things or whatnot. So my partners and I came together to form this new company. We were like, what is, and they're both, one's active duty military, one's a veteran. What was our best foot forward? And you know what? It was affordable housing. There's such a massive crisis throughout the country, but especially in San Antonio and surrounding areas right now of homelessness. And a lot of it's all age groups, but there's a lot of seniors too. And that's just heartbreaking. They're not able to work. They're not able to go take care of themselves, and they just need somebody to help them. So we recently formed a new company called Sapphire 3D Builds, and we are tackling the affordable housing crisis head on by doing 3D printed homes and tiny homes. And by 3D printed homes, I mean exactly that. We are printing homes. Um, as housing affordability issues are out there, traditional construction methods can struggle to keep up with demand, right? It's high, it costs more for a traditional build than it does for a 3D printed home, which people think it's quite the opposite. It's not. Um, Labor shortages, we need less labor in order to do this because the robot does most of it, right? So not that I still need a full crew, so I'm not putting anybody out of work, but I don't need as large of a crew to get that done. And there are no more lengthy build times because we can print a house much faster than you can build a house. So that's where 3D printing technology becomes a game changer right now for affordable housing. So we're using this so we can build houses faster at a lower cost and minimal maintenance needs, which is amazing. We focus on energy efficiency so that we're reducing utility bills post-closing when we transfer those over. And this is making home ownership a lot more affordable. Rental options are more sustainable for individuals and families, for someone that's doing like that type of facility. But most importantly, for my partners and I, this isn't just about building houses. It's about like creating some real solutions for the communities around the country. And we're currently working in collaboration with the city, county, and state officials, as well as a local nonprofit to ensure that these homes go out to those who need them the most right now. We're in collaboration on a tiny home village right now. And, we're doing this between to help first time homeowners, veterans, individuals experiencing housing insecurity. But I think that we're designing communities that are not just affordable, but they're going to be durable, resilient, they're environmentally conscious. At the end of the day, everybody deserves a safe home, an affordable place to call home, right? Everyone should have that. So that's what we're just committed to making that a reality. And we're just going to print them one at a time and keep on going. And we are so excited about it. And we are so excited about how welcoming the city of San Antonio and Bexar County and some local nonprofits we're talking with right now are to this, to this new innovative approach. And everybody wants to be on board with this. So you'll be seeing us popping up all over San Antonio and Bexar County, and in Austin and New Braunfels and Church. You'll be seeing a lot of Sapphire 3D build signs. So if there's anyone that's watching this that wants any more information on this, I hope that they'll reach out. Or if they know of a development or a nonprofit that's seeking something like this as well, I'd love to just sit and talk and brainstorm with them and see, how can we help?
Can you tell our audience where they can connect with you?
Absolutely. You can email me at Cathi, which is spelled Cathi, at sapphire3dbuilds.com. And you can always call me at 352 348 8223. But yeah, we're super excited about this entire thing. I mean, I can't wait to see. I mean, we have a plan that I can't talk. We have a project upcoming in the city of San Antonio right now that I can't talk too much about just yet. They're still redlining things. But I can't wait to watch the first couple go up. I'm just so excited about it. My partners and I are just biting at the bit to get rolling.
Oh, well, it sounds absolutely amazing,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to provide affordable housing to San Antonio, to the surrounding areas,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually outside of Texas. That's
Yeah, well, we have another project in Las Vegas we're working with right now.
nice.
Yeah, for military housing. So we're really looking forward to that one. And
Yeah.
my partners, both my part, like I said earlier, one of my partners is active military still. One is a retired veteran. So it's very, very, and me and my servant's heart trying to help the world. So our ultimate goal is to do some master plan communities and be able to donate a house in every section to a veteran along the way. So that's our ultimate goal, is to be able to do some donated homes as well, and see how that goes.
Oh my goodness. That sounds absolutely amazing. And so yes, if you are interested in talking to Cathi more, please feel free to reach out to her. That information is posted. And so that'll be available to you. So please reach out to her if you are in need and anticipatory of, upcoming signs and new homes that are going to be constructed within the community. That is so amazing. I am so grateful to you, Cathi. I'm grateful to just your
Aw.
service and all that you have done and all that you're still doing just to help service our community. That is such an exciting venture, and I'm excited. I'm just really excited about it. I really am, and
Oh,
I'm
I am too.
looking
So thank you.
forward
And
to.
I'm just feel blessed that I was put here to be able to do it. I mean, I
Yeah.
just happened to be positioned at the right time, at the right place, and here I am. I mean, it's just a phenomenal opportunity to be able to give back.
Well, I think that is totally amazing. And so, listeners, just want to give you a couple of takeaways as you were listening to Cathi. So, being able to really focus on, your own value and recognizing that success happens by choice and it's not by chance. So, really making those investments in yourself and as it pertains to mentorship, as it pertains to your own professional development, continuing to also look for different opportunities, and maybe the mentor that you have is not maybe the best mentor for you. So looking at other opportunities to find mentorship and recognizing, that the challenges are going to come and being open to the change, and embracing the change. I think that is so powerful for us today that We really need to embrace change because things are constantly changing. And so focus, and then focusing on solutions, looking for solutions as opposed to um,
Mm.
fixating ourselves on those limitations and the complaints that, that may
Hmm.
be present there. And so really being able to also develop a plan and having a plan that's clear and actionable. But with all of that, I encourage you to once again go and choose investing in yourself by purchasing is today the day, right? So going and making that investment in yourself in reading this material that Cathi has given society and community in order to improve themselves. I encourage you listeners to take action. I so encourage you to take action on what you've learned today during this podcast and moving yourself forward. I thank you, Cathi, for participating and being here today. So, listeners, I encourage you to not only take action, but I encourage you to subscribe, leave a review, and also share this podcast with someone who need some encouragement. Share this podcast with them. So, subscribe, leave a review. I'm so excited about hearing the reviews and even
Me
more to
too.
share those. So please go ahead, subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast. And we will see you again soon.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.
Okay.